Before we install the motherboard into the system case, we'll insert the CPU into its socket here, and we'll also insert the system memory modules, the DIMM cards, into the DIMM sockets here. It'll be easier if we do this before we mount the motherboard in the system case, because we won't be impeded by any cables and so on. First of all, we should remove this plastic plate which is protecting the socket. There's some delicate pins under this plate which need to be protected. Once we've removed that plastic plate, we can then lift up this flap to reveal the socket so we can insert the CPU. In order to lift the flap, we have to release this arm. This arm is held in place by a small metal clip. So what we have to do is push the arm down, move it to the left, and that will allow the arm to come free and lift all the way up. Once we've lifted the arm up, we'll then be able to lift up this flap. We've now released the arm from its clip, so now it's free. We can lift the arm all the way back to its full extent, and we should now be able to open this flap. Easy way of opening the flap is to push this metal tab at the back. That'll lift the front of the flap. We can now easily lift that up. We can now remove the plastic protecting plate. Lift the flap all the way back. We've now exposed the CPU socket, and we can now insert the CPU. Here's our CPU. It's a dual-core Pentium 4 processor. All we need to do now is make sure that the processor is the right way round, and then simply place it into the socket. To help us make sure the CPU is the right way round, you can see just in the bottom left-hand corner here is a small triangle. This indicates where pin 1 is on the CPU, and there's a marking down here in this bottom corner indicating where pin 1 is on the CPU socket on the motherboard. Also, you should notice that there's a couple of semicircular notches cut into the CPU. You can see at the top there and at the bottom near the pin 1 marker you have a couple of notches, and those match up with similar features on the CPU socket. So our CPU is now the correct way round, and all we need to do is now gently drop it into the socket. Make sure it's sat properly in place. All we have to do now is close the flap and then reposition the securing arm.